Today I have a guest, Lauren Hulse. She's the owner of Hulse Law Firm. And in mediation, I often encourage people, and almost always, to get legal advice. You need to talk to an attorney and find out what your rights are, because you'll always wonder if you don't. And I have so many people who approach our mediation services thinking, I don't want to hire an attorney, I don't want the expense, I don't want to get in a big fight. But I always maintain and encourage my clients to talk to an attorney on an unbundled basis. So Lauren Hulse is here to tell us a little bit about her firm and how unbundled attorney services are important.
Thanks, Leslie. So my name is Lauren Hulse, and I own Hulse Law Firm, as Leslie has said. And I've been a family law attorney for about 12 years now. And I've focused primarily on family law. I started my career as a clerk for judges in Douglas and Arapahoe County, and that really gave me a perspective as to what judges are looking for. And a vast majority of people, 75 to 80% of people, do not ever hire an attorney. And a lot of that has to do with how much it costs. So what we offer is something called Unbundled Services. And it's a way to have access to an attorney on a limited basis, not a full-time basis, that gets some input from an attorney, and that can really help you through this process. An unbundled attorney is called unbundled because it's like a bag of sticks. So we're only helping you with a certain few sticks that you need help with, unlike a full representation attorney that would help you with the full bundle of sticks. So like it implies, we can help you with one of the few different sticks. Some people just want to come to an attorney before they go to mediation. So before they meet with Leslie, they want to talk to an advocate and somebody who can help them kind of prep. These are the things that you could get in court. This is what could happen. This is what could be the outcomes. It really helps for you to show up feeling prepared and meeting with somebody so that you're not walking in blind to a mediation session. So that's one way that we help clients. And sometimes the other party wouldn't even know you've ever talked to an attorney. So it's really just a way to get some advice, get access to legal help without actually going in to mediation with an attorney, which can be intimidating and uncomfortable.
Exactly. And so how it really works well in our process is when we start going over the assets and debts and looking at different property scenarios. That's when people start to wonder, well, what really is, legally the way a court looks at it. That's a huge one. And we always encourage people to go visit someone like Lauren to find out. And again, also in the income scenario, how much maintenance and what income am I going to be using? So do you see that pretty often, Lauren? Do people come with a lot of those kind of questions?
Definitely. I have a lot of different people. A lot of times I have women that come to me and they feel like the husband, and this could be a stereotype, has more money and has more assets. So they're really thinking, what are my rights to maintenance? How would this look? And oftentimes if one of the parties is not employed, the court would impute them at income. So what would those numbers look like? And I like to run a few different scenarios and just let you know that if you were not to settle, what would the court look at it? Because if you know that, then a lot of times you're more able to settle because you know possibly what would happen in court, what the best and worst case scenarios are. So we kind of help you from an advocate perspective. So the mediator is more neutral, and an advocate perspective gives you the ability to know, here's my worst case scenario, here's my best case scenario, here's what I could push for, here's how I would push for it. And it gives you some insight before you walk into mediation with that neutral party trying to bring everyone together and reach agreements.
Exactly, because often people will say, well, what do you think? And that's, as a mediator, I can't think anything except for say, go talk to attorneys on some of these gray areas, especially with income or self-employed income. And that way it's so good because you guys can tell them best case scenario and worst case scenario and be really realistic. It totally depends on if you did have to go in front of a judge. It will depend on what that judge decides, and there's such a gamut. So it is always better to settle in mediation, but if you don't know best case and worst case, you don't know when to say yes or what to maybe agree on and how to shape your agreement. So it's so important, I think, to talk to someone like you, Lauren.
Exactly. both of us have different roles, and it's good to hear from both perspectives. So the attorney role is to really let you know what your best case scenario is, and then you can take that information to the mediator and then feel comfortable with a settlement, that it is fair and that at the end of the day, this is what's best for you and your soon-to-be ex-spouse.
Exactly. It just makes the negotiation so much easier if people have the information. So then I can say, hey, this is what, she found out from her attorney. And then I can say, what did you find out? Like to the man, what did he find out? And then they can really go from there. To me, that makes it so easy, because usually we just kind of come to the middle, or, oh, well, I gave a little more on this one, so now maybe I should give a little more on that one. And it seems like it's a breeze, but I know how it can get really caught up sometimes if you get involved in the fight of it. So if you can stay kind of on top of it, I think in our process, and utilize attorneys in a way, like you said, as an advocate and a realistic expectation of what can happen, I think two people they can do this on their own, as long as they've got all that kind of information and they are able to communicate.
Right. And like I said, sometimes it helps for people to come before mediation. Sometimes people want to start with the mediation, but then they just want an attorney to review everything when it's done with. And so that's another approach too. And that's what's really nice about Unbundled, is it's what you think you need. So maybe you wanted to start out with the mediation route and you're close to reaching an agreement, but you just want that one extra person to say, yes, this is a good deal, or I would tweak this, or I would tweak that. And so that's another way to utilize an unbundled attorney, is to review everything after everything has been drafted.
Yep, exactly. And since we do a series of meetings, I always suggest, either before the first meeting, and actually through the series of meetings is what the ideal situation would be. They come to you at the beginning, kind of get a picture of what the court would look at, if there's some separate property issues or income things, or student debt that they're curious about. How does the court view some of those items? And then we start talking about the property division, and then they can go back and say, talk to their attorney again, okay, this is what it's looking like. And then by the end, get some more guidance. And then by the end, when they reach this agreement, have it looked over one more time. And usually by then, if they do it throughout, I find that there's really not a lot of changes that would be surprising to anybody at the end. It's almost just like you're kind of signing off, or like you said, tweaking a little bit, and then just gives them the peace of mind that they had an attorney look at it. I didn't go against what the norms are, or think something that wouldn't be looked at legally. So it just makes them feel so much better about the deal. Because I know we've talked about, once it's signed and filed and accepted by the court, it's really hard to go back and change.
Right. It is very hard to change. And what I often see as a problem is people have these huge gaps where things weren't addressed. And that's probably doesn't happen with you. This happens more often when people just do it completely by themselves. But if you have gaps, then there's contempt issues, because somebody's mad that the house wasn't sold by September 1st, but nobody said list it by September 1st. So it's really making sure that things are not forgotten as well. So that's kind of our role too, is just knowing from our experience what people end up fighting about when this is all said and done, if they hadn't had an attorney or a good mediator go through everything with them.
Right. Awesome. Well, tell us how. I know I have all of your stuff on our website, your contact information at Hulse Law Firm. I know you do a lot over Zoom probably, but also in person. And is there anything else you want to share before we sign off?
No, thanks for having me. And we would love to give people free consultations about their legal issues. We do a half an hour. We do it by Zoom, or sometimes people really want to meet in person, and we don't have a huge traffic flow of people during COVID, so we're fine with meeting people in person as well. We know this is a stressful time where, sometimes face-to-face is important. So we'd be happy to talk to people and have consultations to talk about where you need to go with your case.
All right. Well, thanks a lot.
Thank you.